My fiancé proposed with my grandmother's ring. At the jeweler, I learned he'd sold the real one for $31,000 and given me a fake. I didn't confront him. I waited until our wedding day. The rooftop restaurant overlooked the Chicago skyline, string lights wrapped around the railings like captured stars. Marcus had been fidgety all through dinner, barely touching his steak. I thought maybe he was coming down with something. Then the waiter cleared our plates and Marcus dropped to one knee. My heart stopped. He pulled out a small velvet box. When he opened it, I saw my grandmother's ring. The platinum band caught the light exactly the way I remembered. 3 sapphires, deep blue like the ocean at midnight, set in a row. The center stone slightly larger than the 2 flanking it. "Iris," Marcus said, his voice shaking. "I know how much this ring means to you, how much your grandmother meant to you. I can't think of a better way to ask you to be my wife than with the symbol of the love she had for you." I was already crying. The ring had been sitting in my apartment safe since Grandma Helen died 18 months earlier. I'd inherited it specifically, mentioned by name in her will. She'd called me to her hospital bed 3 days before she passed and held my hand with fingers that felt like paper. "Keep this in the family," she'd whispered, touching the ring on her own finger. "It was my mother's, then mine, now yours. Promise me it stays with us." I'd promised. And now Marcus was sliding it onto my finger, and it fit perfectly, just like it had when I'd tried it on alone in my apartment, crying over photos of Grandma Helen. "Yes," I managed through the tears. "Yes, of course, yes." The other diners applauded. Marcus stood and kissed me, and I felt the weight of the ring on my hand. 3 generations of women in my family had worn this ring. Now I would wear it down the aisle. That night, I couldn't stop looking at it. I held my hand up to the light in our apartment, watching the sapphires catch and throw back the glow from the lamp. Marcus came up behind me and wrapped his arms around my waist. "Happy?" he asked. "So happy," I said, and I meant it. I wore the ring every single day for the next 3 weeks, touched it during meetings at work, twisted it around my finger while waiting in line at the coffee shop. It became part of me, the same way Grandma Helen's voice was still part of me, living in my memory. On a Tuesday afternoon, I had an appointment with Gerald Chen, the jeweler on Michigan Avenue who'd appraised the ring for my grandmother back in 2008. I needed an updated appraisal for our wedding insurance. Just paperwork, just logistics. The kind of boring adult task that comes with getting married. Gerald's shop smelled like polish and old wood. He greeted me at the counter, his reading glasses already perched on his nose. "Miss Richardson," he said warmly, "congratulations on your engagement. Let me see the ring." I slid it off my finger and handed it to him. He took it to his workbench, turned on the bright magnification lamp, and held the ring under the lens with a pair of tweezers. I stood at the counter, scrolling through my phone, looking at wedding venues. We were deciding between a garden ceremony or something more traditional indoors. "Miss Richardson," Gerald said after about 5 minutes, "I need to show you something." His tone made me look up. He wasn't smiling anymore. I walked over to the workbench. He gestured for me to look through the magnifying glass. The ring sat under the light, the stones glittering. "What am I looking at?" I asked. "The stones," he said quietly. "These aren't sapphires." The words didn't process immediately. I kept staring at the ring. "What?" "These are cubic zirconia," Gerald said. "Very good quality cubic zirconia, but synthetic nonetheless. And the band isn't platinum. It's silver-plated base metal." He set down his tweezers and looked at me. "Miss Richardson, this ring is worth approximately $40 wholesale, maybe $60 retail." The room tilted. I gripped the edge of the workbench. "That's not possible," I said. "That's my grandmother's ring. I inherited it. It was appraised at $47,000 in 2008. "I remember the appraisal," Gerald said. "I did it myself, but this is not the same ring." "Check again," I heard myself say. "Please, check again." He picked up the ring with gentle fingers and examined it under a different light, using a different tool. 30 seconds passed. A minute, he set it down and shook his head. "I'm sorry, I'm certain." I stood there in his shop, the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, and tried to understand what he was telling me. Someone had switched my grandmother's ring, replaced it with a fake. And there was only one person who had access to my apartment safe. Marcus. I'd given him the combination 6 months ago when we moved in together. "In case of emergency," I'd said. "In case something happens and you need to get to important documents." My hands were shaking when I picked up the fake ring. It looked identical to Grandma Helen's ring. Same setting, same size stones, same band width. If you didn't put it under magnification, you'd never know. "Thank you," I told Gerald. My voice sounded like it was coming from very far away. Can you write up a brief report confirming this? I think I'm going to need documentation. He nodded slowly, understanding crossing his face. Of course, give me 10 minutes. I drove home in a daze, Gerald's authentication report in my purse. My mind kept spinning through the logistics. When had Marcus taken it? How long had I been wearing this fake without knowing? At home, I went straight to the safe in our bedroom closet, punched in the combination. Inside was my passport, birth certificate, social security card, all exactly where they should be. The ring's original box was gone. I sat on the closet floor and made myself think, made myself be logical instead of hysterical. If Marcus had sold the ring, there would be a record. A receipt, evidence. I started with his gym bag. Marcus was meticulous about most things, but his gym bag was chaos. Old protein bar wrappers, spare socks, receipts he'd never bothered to file or throw away. At the bottom, folded in half and shoved into the side pocket, I found it. Chicago Gold and Jewelry Exchange. Transaction date, April 3rd, 2 weeks before he proposed. Item, platinum ring with 3 sapphire stones. Sale amount, $31,000. I held the receipt in my hand and felt something inside me go very cold and very quiet. I photographed the receipt with my phone, put it back exactly where I found it. Then I sat on the edge of our bed and stared at the wall. He'd sold my grandmother's ring for $31,000. $2 weeks later, he'd proposed to me with a $40 fake. Let me believe it was real. Let me wear it every day, touching it and thinking of Grandma Helen. My phone buzzed. A text from Marcus, picking up dinner on the way home. Thai sound good? I stared at the message for a long time before typing back. Perfect. That night, we ate pad thai on the couch and watched a movie. Marcus held my hand. The hand with the fake ring on it. He kissed my knuckles during a romantic scene. I love you, he said. I love you too, I replied automatically. After he fell asleep, I lay awake staring at the ceiling. I could confront him tomorrow, right now. I could wake him up and throw the receipt in his face and demand answers. Or I could wait. I could document everything first. Make sure I had proof that would hold up in court, because this wasn't just betrayal. This was theft. Fraud. Possibly forgery if he'd signed anything claiming to be me. I thought about Grandma Helen, about how she'd taught me to play chess when I was 7, how she'd always said the best players think 5 moves ahead. I got up quietly and went to the living room. Opened my laptop. First, I needed a lawyer. I found Catherine Park through a colleague's recommendation, attorney specializing in civil litigation and fraud cases. Her initial consultation fee was $500. I booked an appointment for the following week, taking a long lunch from work. Catherine's office was downtown, 20th floor of a glass tower. She was in her 50s, gray hair pulled into a neat bun, sharp eyes that missed nothing. I laid out everything. The inheritance, the safe combination, the jeweler's report, the pawn shop receipt. Where's the ring now? She asked. Still sold. I haven't tried to track it down yet. I wanted legal advice first. Smart. She made notes on her tablet. First question, do you want it back or do you want him prosecuted or both? Both. Okay, here's what we do. We file a police report for theft. The pawn shop receipt shows the date of sale, and we can subpoena their records to see if he forged your signature on any paperwork. Pawn shops require ID and signatures for valuable items. If he signed anything claiming to be you or claiming he had the right to sell it, that's felony forgery. My hands tightened on the armrests. And getting the ring back? Trickier. If it's been resold, we have to find the current owner. But stolen property is stolen property. Legally, it's still yours regardless of who purchased it in good faith. We'd need to reimburse them what they paid, but you'd get it back. What about the money he got from selling it? Where did it go? Catherine's eyes sharpened. That's a question we need to answer. Do you have access to his bank accounts? We have a shared credit card, but his checking account is separate. If you're engaged and living together, there might be a way to access those records with his consent or through discovery if we file charges. But that's a later step. She leaned forward. Here's my advice. Document everything you can access legally right now. Take photos of anything relevant you find in shared spaces. Keep a timeline. Don't confront him until we have all the evidence we need, because the moment you do, he'll start covering his tracks. I nodded slowly. How long do I wait? Until we're ready to file charges and you're ready to leave. Because Iris, this relationship is over. You understand that, right? I understand. Over the next 4 weeks, I became someone I didn't recognize. During the day, I was the perfect fiancé. I smiled at cake tastings. I held Marcus's hand at venue tour. I laughed at his jokes over dinner. At night, I documented everything. I couldn't access Marcus's private bank account directly, but I could access our shared credit card statements and our apartment's shared expenses. I noticed patterns. In April, right after the pawn shop date, Marcus had suddenly started paying more than his half of rent, his share of the utilities. He'd insisted on paying for our entire vacation to Michigan in May. The money had to have come from somewhere. Then I got lucky. Marcus left his laptop open one evening while he took a shower. His email was up. I had maybe 10 minutes. I searched his inbox for bank statement. Found automated monthly statements from Chase going back 2 years. Opened the one from April. There it was. A deposit of $31,000 on April 3rd, the same day as the pawn shop receipt, but what made my blood run cold were the withdrawals that followed. April 5th, $8,000 to Tourna watches. April 7th, $5,000 to a credit card account I didn't recognize. April 12th, $3,000 to the same credit card account. April 19th, $2,400 to Gibson's Steakhouse. April 22nd, $1,800 to the Peninsula Hotel. Smaller amounts scattered throughout the month. By the time he proposed on April 17th, there was only $3,200 left. By May, it was gone. I photographed every statement with my phone, my hands shaking so badly I had to retake several shots. Sent them to my personal email, deleted the sent message from his account. The shower turned off. I closed the laptop and went to the kitchen, my heart pounding so hard I thought I might be sick. Marcus came out 10 minutes later, toweling his hair. "What do you want for dinner?" "I'm not that hungry," I said. "Maybe just order a pizza." That night, I sent the bank statements to Catherine. Her response came within an hour. "Call me tomorrow." On the phone the next day, Catherine's voice was grim. "That credit card account he's paying off. I ran the numbers. It belongs to someone named Jessica Hartley. Ring a bell." My stomach dropped. His ex-girlfriend? Thought so. I did some digging. Public records show Jessica filed for bankruptcy protection in March. Credit card debt mostly. 2 cards totaling about $11,000. He paid off her debt. Looks like it. Then bought himself a watch and spent the rest on hotels and fancy dinners. I'm guessing not with you. I sat in my parked car outside my office building, phone pressed to my ear, and felt the last piece of hope die. What do I do now? "Now we file charges," Catherine said. "I'll prepare the paperwork. Police report for theft and fraud. We'll need your grandmother's will showing you inherited the ring. The jeweler's authentication report. The pawn shop receipt you found, and these bank statements showing what he did with the money. He'll know I went through his email. He's going to know a lot of things very soon. Question is, do you want to confront him first or let the police handle it?" I thought about that for a long time, thought about 4 years together. About the proposal I'd cried through, about wearing that fake ring every single day, believing it was Grandma Helen's. "Neither," I said. "I want to wait until the wedding." Catherine was quiet for a moment. "Explain. The wedding is in 6 weeks, June 15th. I want to wait until that day, until everyone is there, until he thinks he's gotten away with it, and then I want everyone to know exactly who he is." "That's definitely a choice," Catherine said slowly, "but legally speaking, there's no reason we have to file before then. The statute of limitations is years away. If you want to wait, we can wait. I want to wait. Then we wait. But Iris, the moment you do this, there's no going back. You need to be absolutely certain." "I'm certain." I kept up the act for 6 more weeks. It was easier than I expected. Marcus was so convinced he'd gotten away with it, he never questioned my smiles or my enthusiasm for wedding planning. I did question myself. Late at night, staring at the ceiling while he slept beside me. Was I being cruel? Was I taking it too far? Then I'd remember the look on his face during the proposal. The way he'd talked about honoring my grandmother while handing me a fake ring. The $8,000 watch on his wrist that he'd bought with her stolen sapphires. No, he deserved this. 3 weeks before the wedding, I did something I never thought I'd do. I found Jessica Hartley's address through a people search website. I drove to her apartment building in Lincoln Park one Saturday while Marcus thought I was at a bridal shower. I knocked on her door at 2:00 p.m. She answered looking surprised. She was pretty, blonde, early 30s. She didn't recognize me. "Can I help you?" "My name is Iris Richardson," I said. "I'm engaged to Marcus Coleman. Can I come in? I need to ask you something." Her face went pale, but she stepped aside. Her apartment was small and neat. We sat in her living room, the silence stretching between us. "Did Marcus pay off your credit cards in April?" I asked directly. Jessica stared at her hands. "He told me he got a bonus at work, a big one. He said he wanted to help me because we were still friends and he knew I was struggling." He didn't get a bonus. He stole my grandmother's ring and sold it for $31,000. Her head snapped up. What? The ring I thought he proposed with? It's a $40 fake. He sold the real one and used the money to pay off your debt, buy himself a watch, and take you to expensive hotels and restaurants. We never. Jessica's hands were shaking. He said he was helping me as a friend. We had dinner a few times, yes, but it wasn't romantic. He was engaged to you. I would never. I believe you, I said, and surprisingly, I did. She looked genuinely horrified. Why are you telling me this? Because I want you to know where that money came from. And because you're going to get a subpoena in about 2 weeks. The police are going to want to know about the payments. I'll give it back, she said immediately. All of it. I'll take out a loan, That's up to you and the prosecutors. I just wanted you to hear it from me first. I stood to leave. At the door, I turned back. Did you love him? Jessica looked at me with tired eyes. I thought I did, but he never loved me. Men like Marcus don't love anyone but themselves. On June 14th, the night before the wedding, I stayed at my parents' house. Tradition. Marcus texted me, "Can't wait to marry you tomorrow. I'm the luckiest man alive." I typed back, "See you at the altar," with a heart emoji. That night, I barely slept. I kept imagining different scenarios. What if he didn't show up? What if he figured it out somehow? What if I lost my nerve? At 3:00 a.m., I texted Catherine, "Still want to do this." Her response came immediately. "Your choice. But the charges are ready to file the moment you give me the word." I turned off my phone and stared at the ceiling until dawn. The morning of June 15th was clear and beautiful. 72 degrees, a light breeze, not a cloud in the sky. My bridesmaids arrived at 8 to help me get ready. Sarah, my cousin Emma, my work friend Tasha, they'd brought mimosas and pastries. Sarah kept catching my eye in the mirror, silently asking if I was okay. She was the only one who knew what was coming. My mother arrived at 10, already crying. "Your grandmother would be so proud," she said, taking my hand and looking at the ring, the fake ring. "You're wearing her ring, she'd love that." My throat tightened. I promised her I would. At 1:30 p.m., I stood in the bridal suite in my dress, ivory lace-fitted bodice cathedral train. In the mirror, I looked like every bride in every magazine. "Ready?" Sarah asked quietly. I nodded. The ceremony was set for 2:00 p.m., 200 guests. I could hear them arriving, could hear the string quartet playing in the garden. At 1:58 p.m., the wedding planner signaled. It was time. My father met me at the entrance to the garden. He was already tearing up. "You look beautiful, honey," he said, offering his arm. "Thanks, Dad." We walked down the aisle. I saw Marcus at the altar. For just a second, I almost lost my nerve. He looked genuinely happy, genuinely excited. Then I thought about the receipt, about the $40 fake on my finger, about him paying off his ex-girlfriend's debt with my inheritance. I made it to the altar. My father kissed my cheek and sat down. Marcus took my hands. The officiant began. "Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today." I barely heard him. My heart was pounding. Marcus was smiling at me. I tried to smile back. The officiant talked about love, about commitment, about partnership. He read from Corinthians. The quartet played softly. Then he got to the part I'd been waiting for. "If anyone here present knows any reason why this couple should not be lawfully joined in marriage, speak now or forever hold your peace." The traditional pause, the moment that's usually just ceremonial. I raised my hand. The officiant blinked. "I'm sorry." "I object," I said clearly, projecting my voice so everyone could hear. To my own wedding. 200 people went completely silent. The quartet stopped mid-note. Marcus's face drained of color. "Iris," he said. "What?" I removed the fake ring from my finger and held it up. "This ring," I said, loud enough for the back row to hear, "is not my grandmother's ring. It's a $40 fake made of cubic zirconia and silver-plated metal." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Marcus's mouth opened, but no sound came out. My grandmother's real ring was sold by Marcus to the Chicago Gold and Jewelry Exchange on April 3rd for $31,000, 2 weeks before he proposed to me with this fake. I pulled a folded paper from inside my bouquet. Here's the receipt. And a verification report from the jeweler who originally appraised the real ring for my grandmother. I looked at Marcus. His face had gone from white to gray. Marcus forged paperwork to sell my inheritance. Then he used that money to pay off his ex-girlfriend Jessica's credit card debt and buy himself an $8,000 watch. Behind me, I heard the projection screen flicker to life. Sarah was operating the laptop. On the screen appeared Marcus's bank statements, blown up for everyone to see. Every transaction, every payment to Jessica, every luxury purchase, the dates, the amounts, all of it. I had these legally obtained through my attorney, I said, because what Marcus did wasn't just betrayal, it was theft, fraud, forgery. Marcus finally found his voice. Iris, please, let me explain. I was desperate, my credit was destroyed, and you were desperate, I repeated. So you stole my grandmother's ring, the ring she made me promise to keep in the family. You looked at something irreplaceable and saw it as $31,000 you could spend on yourself and your ex. I looked out at the crowd. I'm not marrying him, obviously, but I wanted all of you to see who he really is. I dropped the fake ring on the ground at Marcus's feet. Then I picked up my train and walked back down the aisle. My father was already standing, moving to join me. My mother was sobbing. Sarah was right behind me. Behind us, chaos erupted, Marcus's mother screaming. His father demanding answers. Guests murmuring, then talking, then shouting questions. I kept walking. In the bridal suite, Sarah helped me out of my dress while my hands shook too badly to manage the buttons. You did it, she said. Holy shit, Iris, you actually did it. I did it, I repeated. Then I started laughing, couldn't stop. Sarah joined me. We sat there laughing while outside, my wedding dissolved into chaos. My phone started ringing immediately. I let Sarah take it and turn it off. What now? She asked. Now I call Catherine and we file the charges. Catherine filed everything on Monday morning. Theft over $30,000. Fraud. Forgery. The pawn shop records showed Marcus had forged my signature on the sale paperwork, claiming to be authorized to sell the ring. Marcus called from different numbers, left voicemails begging me to drop the charges. Said his life was ruined. Said he'd lose his job. Said I was destroying him. I forwarded every message to Catherine and blocked every number. The prosecution offered him a plea deal, 18 months, restitution, probation. Marcus refused, insisted on going to trial, said he'd fight it. The trial was 6 months later. I sat in the courtroom and gave my testimony. Calm, factual, devastating. He had the safe combination, I told the jury. He was the only other person with access. The pawn shop transaction happened 2 weeks before he proposed. The prosecutor showed the pawn shop receipt with my forged signature, showed Marcus's bank statements, showed the payments to Jessica. Jessica testified too. She looked miserable. He told me it was a work bonus, she said. I had no idea where the money really came from. If I'd known, I never would have accepted it. Marcus's attorney tried to argue this was a civil matter, not criminal, that it was a dispute between engaged partners. The prosecutor shut that down immediately. The ring was specifically inherited by Miss Richardson in her grandmother's will. It was never a shared asset. Mr. Coleman stole it, forged her signature, and sold it. These are crimes. The jury deliberated for 6 hours, guilty on all counts. At sentencing, the judge looked at Marcus with obvious disgust. You violated the trust of someone who loved you. You stole an irreplaceable family heirloom and replaced it with a fake. This wasn't just theft. It was calculated and cruel. 18 months in state prison. Full restitution of $47,000, the ring's current appraised value. 3 years probation, but I still didn't have the ring back. With the court judgment in hand, Catherine hired a private investigator to trace it. It took 4 months, but he found it. The ring had been purchased from the pawn shop by a private jewelry collector named Robert Walsh. He lived in Winnetka and specialized in estate pieces. I called him on a Thursday evening, explained everything. The theft, the trial, the conviction. I saw the news coverage, he said. I've been wondering if you'd contact me. I paid $34,000 for the ring, and I'm not looking to profit from someone else's tragedy. I'll sell it back to you for exactly what I paid. I drove to Winnetka the next day with a certified check. Robert Walsh met me at his home, a beautiful Tudor in a tree-lined neighborhood. He handed me a velvet box. I opened it. There it was, my grandmother's ring, the real one. Platinum band, 3 sapphires, exactly as I remembered. The weight of it in my hand was different from the fake. Heavier, real. Thank you, I said, my voice breaking. Thank you so much. I have a granddaughter, Robert said. If someone did this to her, I'd want someone to make it right. I put the ring on my finger. It fit perfectly. That Saturday, I drove to Mount Olivet Cemetery. Grandma Helen's grave was under a maple tree in the older section. Simple granite headstone. I knelt on the grass and held up my hand. I got it back, Grandma, I said out loud. It's back where it belongs. I kept my promise. The wind rustled through the maple leaves above me. I stayed there for a long time, just wearing the ring, feeling connected to her again. 6 months after the trial, I'm doing okay. Therapy once a week. Some days are harder than others, but I'm healing. I moved to a new apartment. Smaller, but mine. No memories of Marcus in the walls. The ring is in a safe deposit box at the bank now. Someday I'll wear it again, when I'm ready, when I meet someone who deserves to see it on my finger. One evening, I was having dinner with Sarah when she asked, "Do you regret it, the way you handled it?" I thought about the wedding. About objecting to my own ceremony, about 200 witnesses. "No," I said. "He showed me who he was, I showed everyone else. Some people think you went too far. Some people haven't had their grandmother's ring stolen," I said. "Some people don't understand what it's like to have someone you love steal something irreplaceable and replace it with a lie." Sarah raised her glass. "To Grandma Helen, and to you." I raised mine, to knowing what's worth fighting for. We clinked glasses. That night I went home and took out the ring, held it up to the light, watched the sapphires catch and throw back the glow. Marcus stole this ring, but he didn't get to keep it. He didn't get away with it, and he didn't get me. I kept my promise to Grandma Helen. The ring stayed in the family. And someday, I'll pass it down to my own daughter or granddaughter. I'll tell her the story of how it was stolen and how I fought to get it back. I'll tell her that some things are worth fighting for, that some people will show you exactly who they are if you pay attention, and when they do, believe them. And I'll tell her that Grandma Helen would be proud. Thanks for listening to my story. If you've ever had to choose between keeping the peace and standing up for what's right, drop a comment below. And if you want more stories about people who refuse to stay silent when they were wronged, hit subscribe. Sometimes the truth is the best revenge.